Yo, what's going on, guys? So in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I know this is not a Warzone video, but I do get asked quite a bit about aim advice and tips for smoothness. Typically I receive comments something along the lines of, "Hey Strahfe, my aim has been pretty shaky since I switched over to mouse and keyboard. Do you have any tips to improving?" And in this video today, that is what we are going to be discussing. This video will have several portions in it. I'm going to talk about equipment, what mice and what mouse pads I think work best for having smooth aim. I'm going to talk a little bit about sensitivity, not that much because it's not too important. I'm going to give you guys some general tips and things that may help out. And also at the end of the video, guys, I just created a new Aimlab playlist. This one is strictly dedicated to smoothness. I'm going to go over that, the scenarios in that, and how you should approach it and train with it. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so first things first here, I wanted to discuss equipment and what I think is best to developing smooth aim. Now take all this with a grain of salt because choosing your equipment is 100% preference. I'm just going to try and give you guys advice for what has worked for me and what my preferences kind of are. So in games like Warzone and Apex that are mainly tracking heavy, I prefer faster mouse pads such as the Skypad, which is a glass mouse pad. This one on my desk is the Artisan Shidenkai, which is like a hybrid glass and hybrid cloth pad. But yeah, pretty much I prefer anything along the lines of the faster side. I just think it makes for smoother tracking personally, but you may prefer a slower pad. So I recommend experimenting with a couple different speeds of mouse pads. I currently am running this Lamzu Atlantis, which shout out to Lamzu, by the way. This mouse is freaking amazing. I'm running the Lamzu Atlantis on the Artisan Shidenkai mouse pad, and I'm also running the glass skates that came with the Lamzu Atlantis. So I have glass skates on a hybrid mouse pad, and this basically just gives me insane smoothness and also insane speed. I kind of also think that speed and smoothness are kind of correlated directly. In my experience and like along with my preferences, the faster the mouse pad, the easier I find it to smooth out my aim and to work on my smoothness. Now I don't really have this issue anymore, but a lot of you come into me saying that you have shaky aim. It could very well be that your mouse might be too light for you. You know, personally I prefer mice on the lighter side, using things as light as this final mouse here, which is in the 40-gram range, my Rochi, which is in the 60-gram range. But yeah, if you're using a super lightweight mouse and you are struggling and your aim is a little bit shaky, maybe switching up to a heavier mouse might help you. But yeah, that is pretty much it for equipment. It's not too important. A lot of this is preference, so you guys are just gonna have to figure out what you like and just rock with that. Don't overthink it. And one last thing before we do get into the aim training routine, another thing that can sometimes make my aim shaky is like if I have caffeine, like coffee, or anything like that in the morning and I don't eat. So if you are a caffeine drinker like myself, be sure to get some food in, because if you don't, that could be a reason you are shaking as well. And also, while we're on the topic, if you guys do need caffeine, you can use code strahfe at gfuel.com for 10 to 30% off depending on the weekend. So I'm gonna have all that linked down in the description if you guys are looking for G Fuel. I'd appreciate it if you did use my code. And let's get into the aim training. Alrighty guys, so now that we are over on Aimlab, I'm going to show you guys how you can find any of my routines as well as the one I just created. So here on the Aimlab homepage, you want to go up to these tabs up here, go to custom, and then you're going to want to go to workshop here on the right side, go to playlist, and then you're going to want to search my name Strahfe here. And then once you do that, gotta go to the playlist. Okay, once you do that, my playlist should pop up here. These three are my most recent. I do have a beginner routine, which is kind of encompassing everything, all aspects of aim, click timing, tracking, target switching, and smoothness. I do have another one that is more advanced and does incorporate some movement scenarios. And then this one right here, this little pink with the blue Strahfe logo, this is the newest one that I made for smoothness. And now I'm going to go over each scenario within this routine, kind of how to play it. It does start off easier and it gets harder as it does go on. So yeah, let's just hop right into it, guys. So starting off here, we do have a pretty easy one. This one is just gonna kind of get you guys warmed up and introduced and get your mindset right towards smoothness. This is Aqua Smoothness level 3. I do have these, if you guys may notice, like 3 times each. You can play this however long you want. I'd say like if you're doing an hour training session, you might do this for 10 or 15 minutes. You don't have to do smoothness every day, maybe just a couple times a week if you are aim training every day. But yeah, don't skip out on it. It is an important part of aiming and you want to make sure to get your reps in. So like I said, this one is pretty easy, guys. Basically you just have one target here in left and right, and it's just going to go back and forth. Now, like I said, you guys can play around with your sensitivities. Like, for example, if I multiply my sensitivity by 4 on this, it would be even harder. And like I said, this is an easier scenario, so you shouldn't struggle with this one too much. It's just going to kind of get you warmed up. And it's really going to allow you to focus on like what you're doing with your mouse, because you're not so focused on trying to keep your thing on the target. That's why I did include an easy one like this. So like I said, if you're multiplying your sensitivities, guys, say your sensitivity is 2, you could multiply it and we could just go up to 8. And now if I ran the same scenario back, I can still do this one pretty easy, but you may notice it is a little bit shakier. And this is what I mean by changing your sensitivity can help to smoothen out your name once you return to your main Sens. Alright, so moving on, we have RA Smoothness Training by MP Control Board. Shout out to the homie. This is another pretty easy scenario, guys. It's basically the same concept, just a little bit of a thinner target. This one also does change speed, so that is another thing to keep in mind. And yeah, that is the premise of this one. This one is also pretty easy. Now let's move on. So next we have a playlist from Huddle. This is Smoothness Switching 360. This is going to kind of transition you into carrying smoothness into different aspects of aiming. In particular, this will carry over into target switching as well as a little bit of tracking. It's not too difficult in terms of like the target switching and the tracking. But yeah, just focus on the smoothness that you worked on in the 2 scenarios previous to this one and carry that over into these different aspects. And that is a reason why I decided to include this one. Now we're going over to Smooth Pill Voltaic. Now this one is going to be a little bit more difficult. Basically this one is just going to move all around this box here, small target. It's going to move a little fast. This one is kind of hard. As you can see, I'm running out of Mousepad here, and I'm kind of recording, so I'm not really trying my hardest. But yeah, basically you just have a small target that moves all around the box. Try your best to stay smooth on it. And this one as well is going to work on your precise tracking because the target is so small. Now moving on, we have RA Morka XYZ Smooth. So this one is very similar to the last one, guys. It's going to move in all directions, X, Y, and Z. And target yet again is even smaller, so this one is getting more difficult. This one doesn't move like around as much, so it is a little bit different, so I thought adding the variety would make up for it and would make a great addition. And lastly, finishing off here, guys, we're going to do Yuki Aim Smooth Bot Glider. I think this is the most difficult one in the routine. If you can't handle it, no worries, just play the other ones. But I wanted to put something in here that would challenge you guys if you are looking for that. So yeah, this is the same as like the last 2 pretty much with the pill shape, and it is just a tiny target that moves around at pretty good speed. So yeah, try your best and let me know what you think. So yeah, guys, I didn't want to overload the scenarios in here. There's really not much to smoothness. It's just like a feeling and mouse control thing you'll just have to develop and work on. Like I said, guys, it is good to change your sensitivities. I do recommend doing this on like 2 to 4 times your normal sensitivity. You can play it as many times as you want. Obviously, the more you do it, the more you'll get out of it. And don't worry about high scores. That's something in general that works for aim training. If you're so focused on high scores and getting like your best score in a leaderboard, you may miss out on like actual good practice. Like obviously, like for this first one here, it's probably gonna be easier to get a better score on your normal sensitivity. But on the contrary, you're going to get more out of it by raising your sensitivity and making it harder on yourself. You can kind of compare this to like weightlifting, guys. Like, of course, you could just go squat the bar 40 times, but that's really not going to do all that much for you in developing strength. So you want to make this difficult on yourself, and that is why I advocate for changing your sensitivity. I cannot stress that enough. Well, guys, that is all I have for you today. Again, if you are looking for my playlist, go into Aimlab, go into the custom tab, workshop playlist, search strahfe, and then this one, and then this 4th one down here are all mine, all my routines. All kinds of difficulties, all work on different things, so I highly encourage you guys, if you are into aim training, to check these out. And if you aren't into aim training, the beginner one will be perfect if you're looking to get into it. Hey yo, I know this video was a little bit different. I normally upload just Warzone gameplay, but I am an advocate for aim training. It is one of the things I do enjoy. I may drop 2 new routines this month, one for Warzone 2 and one for Modern Warfare 2. So stay tuned for that, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.